Yo, what's good, YouTube? What's good? It's Stormybman, and I am back welcoming you to the post-fight show with Stormybman for this Saturday, October 16th, 2021. And we are here to discuss the card that just ended. This is the card that took place, between Mikey Garcia and Sandor Martin from Spain. It was broadcast live on Dazn. I want to say welcome everyone out there. Come on in, smash that like button as you come in, as myself and Boxing Conversations with Reggie Owens, my co-host here, are going to talk about this card this evening. We had some good fights. It's been a great weekend, you know, combined with what transpired last night and then again tonight, that we got a chance to see some pretty darn good boxing. And we're going to talk about it for you guys. I just want everybody to come in, smash that like button as you enter the building. What's going on with you, Reg? Great call on the fight tonight, bro.
Oh, man, thank you, OG, man. What a great way to end the night with that fight, man. And salute to Sandor Martin, man. Salute to that dude.
Yeah, he came out and he handled himself very well, Reggie. Now, fighters like him are the opposite of what we see a lot of times when you're watching boxing, and you kind of get a feel like you get a guy that's coming from a place you might know of the country or whatever that they're coming from, but you just don't know how good a guy might be when you're pulling him from another part of the world if you're not familiar with them, especially if they've done most of their fighting on their own familiar grounds. But every once in a while, you'll get a guy who might be fighting domestically, but he has international and elite level talent. And I think we saw that tonight. Would you not agree with that?
No, I definitely agree with that.
Yeah, so it was exciting to see this match, and since it's so fresh, I'll give you the floor and just go over recap it a little bit, on your own accord, since you just called it, and we'll go through it and talk about it.
Yeah, man. Salute to once again to Sandor Martin, man, who came out here and showed what effective boxing can get against someone who, I guess, looks to rely on power, the inability to really have good footwork, to where Mikey really couldn't get anything off. And I knew Sandor's probably going to be problems when I watched the way in which I seen it. When he threw off that first punch, which is really just kind of a rollover lead punch, and I was like, he threw it with such skills. I was like, dang, is this dude going to be a crafty fighter? Is he just trying to throw out some type of trick, or is he just doing anything, and is Mikey going to knock him out? Then seeing a little bit of his movement, the way he threw out his jab, I could see was kind of quick. Mikey being real hesitant, couldn't figure the guy out. And I was like, so Mikey's having an issue with his southpaw stance. Then the guy started putting things together, the combination work on punches, the 1-2s. Then he threw one straight straight down the line. It was so crisp and it was quick. He got it back very quick. And I said, oh, man, this guy can fight. But I was like, it's just the first round. Went into the second round where Mikey tried to turn the tempo up and kind of come at him. And against the ropes, seeing what this guy was doing, he did it throughout this fight from off those ropes. He felt comfortable over there because he knew he can sit over there, let Mikey throw a shot off. He's just going to dip down, roll out. And now he has Mikey trying to turn around, bring it back to the center ring, and he'll cinch his way back. He just did this all night on Mikey. He didn't care how Mikey can cut the ring off. Mikey cutting the ring off meant nothing to this guy. This guy's ability to float around that ring, his confidence, even in the environment that he was in, which is a pro Mikey crowd, 100%. He didn't care about that. He felt as if he was at home as well. And they all speak in Spanish. He said, hell, I'm joining them. May not look like them, but I'm joining them. We all talk the same language. And he just had that confidence. It really displayed when they showed him in the locker room. It showed in the locker room his level of confidence, the shirt he wore, the way he approached the ring, the way he was inside the ring, Mikey's slow walk. It didn't faze that guy. That guy didn't go cold. He warmed up in that ring. He was comfortable. He felt as if he was built for this moment. And he took it away from Mikey. And even when Mikey thought that his power was going to be something and that guy decided to sit on those ropes in exchange with Mikey, he was tagging Mikey with some stuff. And Mikey felt it. Even when Mikey started to go into that one mode of smothering the guy, because Mikey got frustrated being the fact that he couldn't hit this guy with him escaping. So Mikey was be like, I'm going to smother him. Mikey throwing off punches. Mikey ended up stepping back and then allowing this guy to walk forward at him. I said, man, this is not looking good. And this is another thing where Mikey has really screwed himself, and this should show to other fighters, should have took the fights that you're supposed to fight. Now you have fought someone who people are going to look like. You fought a relative cherry pick who came in here and became a star on you when you should have been fighting the Regis or whatnot. You have messed that money up for a lot of guys. Mikey has messed up a lot of things for a lot of guys and himself. And I love it. I love to see when fighters like this come in here and they display themselves in front of the world where y'all think I'm coming in here to get whooped on. I got something to show you. And the only thing I'm mad at is that I didn't take that little 10, 15-minute drive to the casino to go put a bet in on this dude. But I was not thinking that he was going to come in because I knew nothing about him. And that's the good thing about boxing. Boxing ain't just an American and Mexican sport or British sport. You got all these dudes from around this world who we don't know about, who have great skill, who just need an opportunity to display them. And Mikey has given this guy the opportunity to display those talents. Next, line one of these young cats up for the guy, because now he has a name. This is almost like the Pacquiao giving Jeff Horn the opportunity, and that's where this guy's in the moment. Except this guy can box. But that's my thoughts on it. That right there was another highlight of a continuous jump over great fights. Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury reignited that fight yesterday. Then coming into this one right here, man, what a way to cap off the week. But go ahead, OG.
Yeah, I agree with you 1,000%, man. And I want to say hats off to the sport of boxing, how it's kicking off this third quarter, huh? How about the fourth quarter of the year? I mean, because we still have some named fights on the horizon to take us through to December. And if this is what it's going to be like for the fourth quarter of the year, what a rebound boxing will have made. Because you remember during that second to mid-third quarter of the year, a lot of fight cancellations took place due to, health, injuries, the pandemic, and things like that. So it's like we suffered, because fights were either, taken off the schedule, if not postponed, or, just rearranged on the schedule to the point that it became almost unbearably frustrating. But man, starting with last week's pay-per-view of the heavyweights and going through to this weekend, and then next weekend we got Shakur and Jamel Herring coming up. So that's something to really look forward to. But I want to, before I start giving my take on the fight, I want to go back to something that was asked of you during the, I guess it was like the last 2 rounds or something of the broadcast. Someone in your chat had said something along the lines of, man, I don't have DAZN. I could watch this if I had DAZN. Let me say this. This is why you get DAZN. This is why you get ESPN Plus. This is why you watch Showtime if you don't have it, you know, if you're a fan of the sport, and I say this, and you've heard some of the other brothers out here in the community say it as well. If you're a fan of the sport, not a fan of individuals, if you're a fan of the sport, this is why you subscribe to that. I subscribed well over a year ago to the Dazn app and the ESPN Plus app and everything, so I can watch more of the fights that I was not going to be able to see if I didn't have them. And for me to do shows and to come on and share this content with people like who are listening out there now and who have been riding with this channel, I couldn't do that if I wasn't plugged in to boxing. And I'm not trying to tell anybody how to spend their money. The only thing I'm trying to say is there is an advantage of having this at your fingertips, and to be able to understand that, you know, sometimes you'll get some bad apples in the bushel. It happens. But at the same time, do you really want to miss when you have an opportunity for something historical? And like last week's fight, historical. Last night's fights, very good, very worth the while of going back and checking it out again. Tonight, to see Mikey Garcia, who is a fighter who has a name in the sport, who commands respect in the sport, and I say that, you know, solidly because they pay him, right? They pay this man. And there are certain individuals that we could say, oh, maybe they're overpaid or whatever. But if networks are willing and promotions are willing to pay certain men, and then you see something like this, that's your argument now for, like, let's see the guy who whooped him get some money now. You know what I'm saying? So it all comes out in the wash that when you support the sport and you really, you know, you buy into it, this is the reward here. And I sat there enjoying every moment of it because this was a good boxing match. It wasn't just the fact that Mikey lost the fight, but everybody knows how Mikey Garcia fights, his style, what it is. I don't have a name for his style, but it's very limited, but he's effective with it. And it's amazing that he's beaten some of the guys that he beat, because I would have thought that some of those names, and I'm not going to drop anyone in particular name that he's defeated prior to fighting Errol Spence, but some of those guys should have beaten him. And then here you see Sandor Martin come over here from Spain and put it on him tonight like nobody else has. He didn't have to knock Mikey out. He didn't have to drop Mikey on the canvas. All he had to do was implement the game plan that he had, which was to outbox the guy, have clean and effective punches. And it's amazing, Reggie, that here we see there was still a judge that had it even. That was not by any means an even fight. It was not, because Mikey was second, although he was pursuing and trying to apply pressure, but he was getting hit and tagged cleanly on the way in. He wasn't working behind a jab very much. And then when he did try to jab, Mr. Martin was able to counter the jab with right hooks and do things to Mikey that made Mikey keep his hands at home more than letting them go. And he's like Tyson Fury, Mikey is great poker-faced in boxing. I would like to know how he plays poker, because he should be pretty darn good. You know, he was hurt, man, from some of those shots. Very clean, sharp punches. And those are the ones that hurt you more than anything, because it's like the speed and the snap on them don't give your synapses a chance to really react. Thudding punches, you can brace yourself and stuff like that, right? But snapping, sharp punches, you know, there's no way to gauge that, because sometimes one could come in quickly, and then another time one can come in with speed and power and mustard on it that'll get you in trouble. And what I loved was when Martin realized that he could put Mikey back with his shots. He didn't do that like, oh, I know I could back him up. He kept Mikey coming to him. That was tactical. That was strategy. Because if he does enough to hurt Mikey, then he might have to go find Mikey. And then Mikey might be able to counter him with something. You see how the play goes? So the man fought with a discipline, and he also fought effectively on how to secure rounds for himself. And then late in the fight, he picked it up a little bit. He moved his hands a little more. And I think it was like around 5 or 6. I wrote in Reggie's chat, I said, oh, he's starting to stand his ground a little bit, Reggie. Because when he started to stand his ground, he was letting Mikey Garcia know that you really can't back me up. I've been backing up because I want to. And if the Garcia corner were smart, they would have told Mikey after a couple of rounds, let him come to you a little bit. But they didn't. Mikey stayed in that mode. The guy got his timing down. He showed Mikey that he could throw punches from various angles. So Mikey had to be wary of everything, because the guy could punch out of the southpaw stance. He could punch with variety and versatility. And Mikey, though he holds that high guard, the one thing that he didn't want to do is give the guy too many clean shots to his face, because, like I said, that snap on his punches. And it was very fulfilling to see a guy fight up to the level of his abilities and then to surpass what people may have thought, and then take the opponent, in this instance, the opponent being Martin's facing Garcia, take all of that away from Mikey. Even the crowd was not able to cheer too much or whatever and get behind Mikey to give him that adrenaline that a crowd, a hometown can give you. He kept that away from him. That was very intelligent. Everything that Martin did was by design, and it was a tremendous game plan. And they were talking about, as the guys were going to the ring, how he had studied Mike, and he had told them in the pre-fighters meeting that he knew exactly what to do to Mikey from studying film of him and knowing, where he's comfortable, what he does, and he fought like it. This was not just a guy speaking with bravado and trying to sell the fight. This was someone speaking from a point of being confident in what he was doing and actually going out there being able to execute in the fight what his game plan was. He wore a shirt coming in this evening to the dressing room that had a Muhammad Ali quote on it. I shook up the world, and it said quoted by Muhammad Ali. He had that in there, and I thought that was very interesting, because here it is. This guy's a Spaniard, right? And he's coming in here and he's wearing his shirt that's got an Ali quote on it. That tells me that there was something mental going on there in a positive sense. He didn't come to lay down. He came to contest and compete. And that's all we ask for. We talked about that last night off of last night's card with Navarrete and Gonzalez. All we want to see is the competitiveness that boxing has to offer. Once it offers you its best, then you can just relish in it, because there are so many levels of the best of boxing. You could talk about boxing skills. You could talk about boxing technique. You could talk about power. You could talk about KOs. You could talk about defense. When you put it all together, there's no sport like this when it's doing the best that it has to offer. And that's what I loved about what we've seen over the past week. It's been tremendous. And hats off to Sandor Martin for coming over here and delivering, because no one knew the guy. We didn't know who he was. There was no information being sold on this fight. We just knew Mikey Garcia returns Saturday, October 16th on Dazn, right? So this was an opportunity for Mikey, again, to do a snatch and grab like he did in his last performance on Dazn, where they paid him all that money and he went home a couple million richer, right? Well, tonight, he may have still go home a couple million richer, but he took home the reality of the boxing gods, that you stay in there long enough, it can happen to you. I love it, man. And I love the sport. And I love the fact that I had Dazn so I could watch it, because this is what I invested in Dazn for, to be able to come out here, watch some stuff, listen to great calls like Reggie did this evening, and then come back in the aftermath and share with you guys and talk about the sport like we're doing now. So those are my opening thoughts about this whole ordeal, Reggie. That's what I had to say opening up.
Yeah, no, that's all I got, man. I can't say that I know Sandor, but I'm proud of Sandor. And hopefully Sandor can inspire any fighter that goes into a fight, even if they're looked at as an underdog, regardless of how big the name of the fighter is, the history of the fighter. There's no greater achievement than going in here, and also with what you've seen Deontay Wilder, even though he may have been outgunned in the moment, hurt in the moment, showing his heart, never laying down, giving it his all. That's what these fighters go in there and do. That's what you got in the sport for, is to lay it all out. Lay it all out in the ring. Don't come in here buying into what writers put in there about you, how everyone counts you out. No, this is a game with two men, man with hands. You put all this time in the training camp, and you go and apply the science that you guys have been putting into the plan and implement. And that's what this dude did, man. This dude's confidence really drove that. His conditioning, taking this fight serious, knowing who he's in there with, not going in there to take any type of dive. He was going to stand in there with Mikey Garcia. Mikey Garcia would have to knock this dude's head off, and he was willing to knock Mikey Garcia's head off. I think this dude's confidence was to the point to where he said, anything Mikey think he can do, I can do better. And he absolutely did that. And I just hope to see that going forward from all these fighters, man. That's the purpose of getting in there. If you ain't willing to do that, get out the ring, because you can definitely get hurt.
Yeah.
You definitely get hurt. Even with the crazy dude, Rolly. It's crazy. I think Rolly is. The one thing I do admire about that dude is he's willing to fight these cats. He's willing to fight these tough cats. He's going to get in there. Hopefully he lays it all on the line. All these dudes who are viewed as underdogs, to hell with people who write papers got to say, to hell with we who do content try to predict. Even in the fight, I used to love when I try to predict something and be wrong on it, to just see a fighter go in there and give it his all against an opponent you thought he was going to get knocked out by or whooped from pillar to post against, and the opposite occurred. Or he gave a great showing, may not gotten on the scorecards, made a name for himself, got himself another payday. And that's what it has to be. You have to make these huge paydays. You have to steal spotlights from people, put the shine on yourself. And the Sandor kid, he is known now from what he was able to do here. He'll always be known from where he's from. I'm pretty sure he's going to get a parade over in this country. And here he's going to be known. People are going to take him serious. Oh, yeah, that's the dude who defeated Mikey Garcia. Outclassed Mikey. Put a clinic on Mikey Garcia. And his name sits under the defeats that Mikey has with Earl Spence and now with Sandor Martinez. So you can't ever forget that guy. And the fact that he comes to this country to silence Mikey Garcia's crowd. Like, that's epic right there.
Yeah. And before I go any further, let me salute Case Nasty 0102 out there in that super chat. Says, salute Stormy B and chat. Boxing is on a nice run. Judges got it right tonight. Yeah, boxing is on a good run. The judges are always questionable. We had one in this fight, the judge that had it a draw, because there was no way this fight was a draw, because Mikey did not win ring generalship or effective aggression or clean and effective punching. He didn't win in any of those three categories, which is why he appropriately drop the decision tonight. And I'm glad that they at least figured that out, because that's what it's all about when it comes down to the point scoring system here. I didn't like the fact that they had this particular ref for this fight and they didn't have Jack Reese in there with them, since he's supposed to be this class official, right? But then again, maybe it was best, because this was the type of fight where you just got a chance to see the two fighters perform. The ref who was there, he didn't really impact the fight very much, and maybe that was best that Jack Reese wasn't a part of that. And maybe Mikey Garcia didn't want Jack Reese in there. We don't know how that goes on behind the scenes, but you have to appreciate the efforts by the fighters and what they brought. Now, we understand that Mikey was jabbering about facing Regis Prograis and stuff like that. But as Reggie alluded to as he was speaking earlier, this is why you guys have to make the fights when the fights are hot. You can't continue to just think that you're letting something build or simmer or come on, because what happens is someone who is waiting and looking to snatch the opportunity, they're going to prevail. They're going to step in and create some type of a roadblock or whatever. And it happens in the sport all the time. We've seen it time and time again. So there are teachable moments here. Fighters that are professional, that are at the top of the level, top of the class, face each other. When you face each other, if you lose to the other guy who is considered second best or number one over you or whatever, so what? You know? And then because you're at that class, if the fights are good, you can have rematches and you get a chance to make a little more money than you made the first time around. And if you're losing to the guy who's the best, what's so bad about that? You're second best. If he loses to you, you're number one and he's second best. So all of this avoiding and stalling things out and everything, the only thing it does is it opens up opportunity for other guys to come in and snatch all your glory away. And now you're thinking like, what could have been, right? Look at AJ and what happened. Years ago, he had a chance to make hella money with Deontay Wilder. And at that time, he had a really solid victory over Vladimir Klitschko that had risen him to certain heights, right? Deontay didn't have a fight with Fury and Ortiz yet, so it was like he's beaten Bermane Stiverne and those kind of guys. But if they had fought then, what if AJ won? You know, even though there were people that feel like, oh, Deontay, once he hits him with the right hand, that's it, you know. But AJ can box a little bit, so what if he got the better of D? And then, you know, boom. Or if D won. Now you're talking about two men that faced each other, and that if the fight is good enough, they can have a rematch, right? Or because they were both champions, a rematch clause may be in effect. So you get at least two fights out of that deal, and you get a chance to figure out who's the best guy. Now, both of them not only have two losses, but never faced each other, and other men have come in the intermedium and taken the glory away from them, when they both were the two that boxing would consider. So now you look at Usyk, who wasn't even a thought back then, right? When we were talking about AJ and Wilder fighting, Usyk has come up there and taken it away from AJ. And it's like, you know, Fury's taking it away from D. And it's like now these two guys that nobody really cares about, really, they got the glory. You see? And when guys do these things to offset what is there for them, the only people who win, beside the men who step in and snatch that bit of glory, are these promoters, because they continue to drain you. They continue to take away your lifeline. And let me tell you, folks, once they've chewed you up enough to the degree that they feel they've got no more use for you, then you're nothing after that to them. You'll still have your fans or supporters, and they can turn your fans against you. All they got to do is start talking certain stuff, saying certain things in the media, and then they'll twist your brain into thinking, well, yeah, he's right. Well, I don't like him no more. You see what I'm saying? And then they've destroyed this guy, and they building up another dude. This is what it is. So why not snatch opportunity by the throat and go out there and do the things that you can do that's before you? And at the end of the day, the fans, they still will come around. They will ultimately respect you because guess what? You took on the challenges. You might have got knocked down or even got stopped in a fight or whatever, but they love you because you're a warrior, because you entertain. Even your haters will be like, well, hey, the dude got balls, don't he? You see what I'm saying? So it's like, this is what it's all about. Now, Mikey, because he was walking in a different way, dipping his toe in the pool, trying to check the temperature of the water and everything, he's got a different kind of rebuilding to do because he got outboxed tonight by a guy that nobody knew, and he stayed away from other guys who could outbox him, saying, oh, they're runners and stuff like that. Like, you remember he called Bud Crawford a runner. Oh, he runs, so I don't want to face him. No, that's just code for he got some boxing skills that I might not be able to compete with. Because you look at what Mr. Sandor Martin did to him tonight. What do you think if that was Bud Crawford? Huh? Stoppage. Yeah. And not Mikey stopping nobody or nothing. It'll be Bud stopping him. So, yeah, that was nice that you avoided that kind of fight, Mikey. And you could have made more money fighting Bud, too. Huh? But look at what happens. Huh? Now you let this dude come over here and feast. And I'm happy for the guy. I'm happy for the sport of boxing. It should happen this way. It should happen like this even more often. But because you have those rinky-dink judges and officials out there, that's why you don't get this more often, because sometimes they give a person a victory when they didn't earn it. And that's sad because, you know, the men still go through their training camps. They put in that activity. They put in the hard work and labor, and they should be awarded their victories when it comes to a decision or comes down to the judges' scorecards. It's really unfair. Could you imagine you got a 40-hour-a-week job, and at the end of your 40-hour or 80 hours, if you get paid every 2 weeks, you get, you know, it's payday, and they say something happened, we can't pay you today. What? Huh? You done put all this work in, and you done work, you got bills and everything. You need groceries, and they gonna tell you, sorry, champ, can't do it. What? Somebody gonna die. Huh? And the thing is, this is what they giving you in boxing. It happens more than we would love to happen, but it's like it's a reality, and we have to talk about these things. We have to put it out there. I think the job that Reggie and I are doing on this post-fight show, when we talk about a lot that goes along with the cards that we witness, as well as the outcomes and how certain things are impacting, I think it's been very positive. Look at how you guys respond to our post-fight show. Our numbers have been doing very well because we talk about these things. We put something on your mind. We put something on your heart. And y'all ain't the only ones listening, you know? But solid event for Sandor Martin, because he did what he came here to do. That's all you could ask for the guy. Would you rather he come here and lay down? Possibly if you're a Mikey Garcia guy and you just wanted Mikey to win at any cost. But Mikey still had a chance to win before the final bell. All he had to do was let them hands go and be successful in landing them on the other guy and get him up out of there. Or get the ref to step in and stop it. But that ain't what happened. Huh? I wonder why. But those are my thoughts on that, Reggie.
Oh no, you cook well on that. I got nothing to add to that.
Yeah, man. When the sport is going well, it's it's what we look for. It's like, man, how can you can't turn your head away from the TV when they're delivering what you want to see. You know what I mean? I just think like what we do and say, it does have an effect and an impact, which is why we do it. We're not on here just to try to look good or something like that. It's like, man, we try to talk about the sport we love. This is why we do it. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, that's why it's important. Going to the scorecards, Reggie. Were you scoring it as you were watching it?
Yeah. I gave Mikey just 4 rounds to 6 in this one.
Yeah, I had it 7 to 5. I mean 7 to 3. I had it 7 to 3. And at that point where you said you had it even, I still had Martine up 2 rounds because there was a close round, but then when I looked at that round, Martine had landed the cleaner shots. And that's another thing, Reggie. Let's talk about that a little bit before we move on to the other fights on the card. Let's talk about how clean his punches were. You could actually see them. Snap wrap Mikey's head back, or the solid shots to the body, or when he doubled up and he made Mikey's head turn with a blow and stuff like that. And that wasn't Mikey turning to take something off the punches. Those shots were scoring, man. He was hitting him clean. And I love that. I love the fact that he was a take charge of the moment fighter. You don't see that a lot. But when someone does perform to that degree, it's really gratifying. Your thoughts?
Yeah, man, he put together accurate display, like, and that's the critical side of why it's important for fighters to learn to be able to box. On top of his ability to move, he knew where to move himself to put himself in position to fire off these shots, to land cleanly on Mikey. He was tapping Mikey all over the side of the head. Rolling over the shots. Then when he started, the one thing, like you were saying, he didn't mix to the body a lot. But even when he did land some of those body shots, those were tricky shots. Mikey couldn't even figure out when they were coming. Like, this guy had a wealth of tools in his bag. He had a whole wealth of tools in his bag, and he really didn't need to pull them all out. And then even in the midst of Mikey trying to go to war with slugging with this guy, he outgunned Mikey even there. And he showed the ability to time Mikey. When Mikey wanted to go off into this onslaught, Mikey throws in a pattern, and this guy was able to quickly pick up on that pattern. When he stayed with the high guard, got his mitts up over his ear. He's locked in tight. He felt Mikey throw that left hook may hit the right arm of his. He knows immediately, fire off. Bow. He's just catching Mikey. Oh, Mikey didn't hit this side of the glove. Bow. Firing open. He just knew to find the timing because Mikey didn't add any variations to anything. It was just the rhythm, the timing in there. Bow. Oh, he tapped me there. Bow. And he was and Mikey was feeling it. And Mikey was having to step back, reset it. That's why he was kept taking those little reset hops. Let me hop back. He was probably buzzed, like you said. Mikey showed a lot of poker in this fight because he was buzzed by some of these shots. These shots are definitely hurting because they were solidly placed shots. But the accuracy, like you're saying, was right on point. A lot of these straight shots, when this guy needed to deliver the shots, they were there for him. I like the way when he would double up on the jab just to get the left hand in there. And Mikey defensively just really couldn't figure this guy out. Didn't want to move in any wrong direction. I think Mikey, I don't know if Mikey probably felt like this guy could drop him. And I think Mikey really wanted to save him. Not so much he knew he was being embarrassed in front of that crowd from the standpoint of boxing that was missing a lot of these shots. I don't think Mikey really wanted to overcommit because Mikey did at one point. This is where he got rocked. Mikey tried to come at this guy and ran into a punch. Mikey immediately tried to clinch the guy. And I seen the guy trying to get Mikey up off of him. That's the other thing I like with the guy is he started pushing back with Mikey in those clinches, pushing Mikey up off of him, walking Mikey back, trying to pivot Mikey when Mikey at one point, before Mikey had at one point being successful at smothering, but he had one moment when he started to clinch up with Mikey where he tried to turn Mikey to get himself up off the ropes and put Mikey's back towards the ropes. So he was just doing a lot of that, started to try to turn into a little bit of bullying, just letting Mikey know that if he needs to be rough and tumble with Mikey, he can do it. And he let Mikey also know that during when they were going in that little onslaught battle, that he can be rough and tumble with you and that his punch is going to be more effective. But Mikey running in for not running in, but trying to just walk forward as if he's going to intimidate the guy and ran into that punch. Mikey felt that one. He felt a couple of those straight lefts. He felt it was one real solid one. That one in the fourth round, as that fourth round ended, and he rocked Mikey with that right hook on the side of the head. Mikey felt that one. And this guy was just giving it to him, man, just really giving it to Mikey. I wish I didn't turn the volume up. I was trying to keep with the chat and just amped up my dang self. I wish I could have heard what Robert was saying, man. And I wish I could have seen more if they would have showed more of the replay to really see the highlights and details of how accurate and how solid the punches were being landed by this guy. And I think Dazn really wanted to save kind of what was the build of this fight, being this is kind of a showcase for Mikey. They needed to save themselves of that embarrassment to even show the viewing audience any type of replay of these rounds. Like, this guy was just really outdoing Mikey, and being that his punches were more flush. Mikey couldn't get nothing really flush off on this guy. And like I was saying, I don't think the guy, like as pale as that guy was, the guy really had no red marking on him at all. Nowhere on him. Except he had a little lump when he went to that battle with Mikey. It was like one of the two little onslaughts that he had with Mikey. It was where he got caught, but it didn't bother the guy at all. He was just in there. He felt his power register right where Mikey's was, and Mikey decided to not really bang with this guy in order to save himself from embarrassment, because he was feeling himself getting caught with stuff. It had been the icing on the cake had Mikey got dropped in front of that crowd. It'd been really embarrassing, and the frustration would have set even deeper on Mikey, because Mikey was definitely frustrated in this fight, and that's why he couldn't get a lot of stuff off, is that frustration was starting to mount on him, being he can't touch this guy, and this guy's just tagging me with all sorts of punches. But that's my thoughts.
And you touched on something else that I don't know if you really realized it, Reggie, about talking about him tagging Mikey. The man had a variety of punches that he could throw in his arsenal. He had hooks, he had straight punches, he had like punches to the body. And even in that one round, was it the 9th or the 10th, where Mikey tried to trap him on the ropes and like really try to open up, and the guy was defensively responsible against the ropes, but he was catching Mikey with the counters. It was like boom, boom, he catch him, boom, boom, and fire back. And Mikey stepped back like, well, this ain't gonna work either, you know? And that's what I'm talking about when I talk about competing. He did everything he needed to do, but he was always in control. He controlled the tempo of the fight. And I love that when a fighter is able to take charge in that regard. He didn't fight from behind, even though he was the opponent. He did not fight from behind. He took charge early on. And you said it, Reggie, in that first round, when he came out and he threw that shot at Mikey, that left, that kind of boom, it had pop on it and everything. It was like, okay, did he get a lucky shot, or can this guy really box like this? Well, we got our answer. He can really box like that, because he kept it up the whole night. And that point in there when I said, hey, he's sitting down on his feet now. He's showing him that I don't have to move away from you. I do it because I have that type of flexibility. But you do understand that if Mikey changed, then it would have been a blowout, because he doesn't have that versatility. But he was very poker faced. He got hit with some shots in there that stunned, but he never showed like, oh, I'm hurt, or he never even showed discouragement. He pumped his fist after every round, going back to his corner like he really took that round, which is a psychological ploy because the judges are watching your body language and stuff like that. But you're not fooling me. Punch stat says you landed 3 and he landed 8. Okay, so that's how I'm scoring it. You know, you pumping your fist like he was doing when he fought Earl. He was losing that damn near every round, but he pumping his fist and raising his hands like, yeah, y'all see me? Yeah, we see you getting your ass whooped. Huh? But we saw it again tonight, which I love that, man. I love it. But boxing won tonight. If you guys didn't see that fight, please check it out whenever it's available for the replay, because you'll get an appreciation of a fighter that you've never seen before. Some of you, there may be some people from different parts of the world who may know who Sandor Martin is. I want to see more of the guy, because it's like fighters like that, that's what makes the sport exciting. Huh? Not guys who just want to show up and take a paycheck and, you know, well, this is Mikey. Remember when we was going to fight Earl and they were asking, who you picking? Who you picking? Oh, I'm going Sugar Ray Leonard. Who you picking? Oh, I'm going with Mikey. Well, why? Because he's Mikey. You know, get out of here with that foolishness, man. There's nothing wrong with supporting a guy if you like the guy or whatever. But when you're talking about what he's up against and how the odds is up against him and everything, then it becomes like looking through rose-colored lenses. You know what I mean? Because I'm sure they had Mikey tonight, you know. But here's the breaking news. Mr. Sandor Martin had Mikey tonight, too, in his pocket, huh? Just like a wallet. So if you don't have anything else on that, Reggie, we could move to some of the other fights on the card.
Yeah, we can move, because I didn't catch too many of those fights. I caught that co-main, and I think that was really about it. And the upset, that other upset, I didn't too much catch the full bout of that one, to the guy from the Dominican Republic.
Okay, yeah, we had a guy from Puerto Rico taking on Elwin Soto for that WBO flyweight. Did you not see that one? Because Jonathan Gonzalez from Puerto Rico, he won that in a split decision, and it was an upset because, you know, I was talking to kind of Loco Sports, you know, during the fight, and he, you know, he was saying, man, I don't think they're going to give it to him, but he's outboxing. I told him, I said that Jonathan Gonzalez was boxing so well, but he could do more. It's like he was a southpaw and very short guy too. Both of the men were short, but I don't think Gonzalez was tall as the highest ring apron rope. I don't think he is as tall as that. And that's the fight that Jack Reese was refereeing. But it was a very good fight, Reggie. Elwin Soto was trying different tactics to bully and stuff like that, but Jonathan stayed disciplined. And Kano told me that he's not really, his punch resistance is not that well, but he held up fine in the fight. I felt like he moved just enough to keep Soto off balance, and he had some pop on his punches. I would have liked to see him use his left more, and it looked to me that he could have gotten off with more uppercuts off of the left than just trying to throw the left straight down the pipe, because the uppercuts, with the way that Soto was coming in on him, it would have been a great shot to the body to take some steam out of the guy. And then lo and behold, late in the fight, I think it was in the, what round was that? Might have been the 9th or the 10th. It might have been the 9th round. Soto tried a real dirty tactic that I seen once before in boxing, and they were in a clinch, and he tried to twist Gonzalez's arm. It's the same injury that Gabriel Ruelas suffered when that guy broke his elbow in a clinch, where he turned it on the inside like this and just broke his arm. Soto tried to do that to Gonzalez because of his frustration, and Jack Reese stopped it and admonished him. He didn't take a point or whatever, but after the round ended, he told the judges, he's like, he said that he thought that Jonathan Gonzalez was overreacting, because he saw it and he stopped it when he stopped it. Jack Reese did, but he thought he was playing up to the crowd too, that, he was more hurt than he was. But he went over to Elwin Soto's corner and told his corner, you tell your fighter to knock this off or a DQ is coming. So, they was like, okay. But as soon as Jack Reese walks away, Soto's cornerman said, don't worry about what he says. he said, don't worry about what he says. Just keep doing what you're doing. I was like, man, I was sitting there watching it. He said it. As soon as Jack Reese walked away, he was pouring water in his mouth. He said, don't worry about what he talking about. He said, you just keep fighting. I was like cracking up, man. I was like, you see that, man? It's crazy. But Jonathan Gonzalez outboxed him and won a victory. And it was interesting because Soto's aggression was not effective. He was coming in, he was throwing shots, but he was catching everything, coming in when Jonathan threw his punches. To me, he could have punched a little more. He punched more than Guillermo Rigondeaux did against, that guy he was fighting that night when he didn't throw enough punches. But it was a similar situation with the guy coming in, throwing all these shots. He's missing, you counter, and, he won a split decision. And that was very interesting because that, again, one of the judges had it all the way for the other corner for Elwin Soto. And then two judges had it for Jonathan Gonzalez. So we saw the judges doing their magic tricks. They were in the house tonight. So don't think that, boxing got it right with the judges too. No, because they were still lingering around trying to affect the fight. You know what I mean? It's just that the performances could not be denied tonight. And that's what I really love, because when you take control of the fight as the fighter, okay, and you make your fists the judge and jurors, that's when you can have the success that you really earn and deserve. But you shouldn't have to knock everybody out to get your victories. I'm not near no way trying to imply that, but you should definitely have the opportunity to get a favorable decision when you've come out favorably in your performance. So, but that was the fight that was before the co-main, Reggie. The co-main had Mark Castro taking on Angel Luna. And apparently this was a showcase for Castro. It was his third or fourth professional fight. And he kind of had like a situation like Earl Spence. He recently wrecked his car, but he wasn't injured. He walked away from being in a bad car accident, but he turned out fine. He wasn't injured or whatever, so he was able to stay on the card for the fight tonight. And man, he put a shellacking on that Luna. Luna came out. You know how the bell ring and you come to the center of the ring and you start boxing? It's like the bell rang and Castro came to the center of the ring, and the first couple of punches he threw landed solidly, like almost like a knockout. It was like, and Luna was like, and he was fighting from behind the whole time after that, Reggie. I was like, what the hell? This dude, does he know what guard your face mean? Because it seemed like every time Castro threw a punch, his fist had a magnet in it, and Luna's face had the other end of the magnet, and it was just connecting like tink, tink, tink. And he just took the guy out, man. One round. So, I mean, you were watching that one, right? What were your thoughts on that crap, man?
Man, like you said, the first three punches he ate with his face.
And they say that dude
and he started wobbling. I said, man, what the heck is Luna doing? But I noticed he was kind of heavy. I thought he was gonna come out here. Huh? I didn't hear you. What you say?
No, I'm just laughing at it because it was so funny, man. He was connecting. His face was like a magnet, man. And they say he went 12 rounds with Tevin Farmer, Luna.
Yeah, Tevin looked bad if he went that many rounds with this guy, unless this guy didn't regress. But I was looking at him, was like, maybe he gonna come in here. He looked muscular, and that's not always good in boxing. Maybe it only works when people are scared of you because you buff or something. His whole style was just whack. I looked at him; he looked very heavy. I'm like, on that front foot, he didn't have any movement. His head stayed in one spot. And after that the dude thought he just landed a lucky combination. He didn't want to overcommit. And he started throwing his jabs and found out this guy wasn't giving anything. And then this dude couldn't move. I don't know if the excitement for the crowd for the other guy for Castro got to him or whatnot. But it just made no sense that he had really no mobility at all. He kept getting wobbled, man. And then when he went down, it really could have got stopped then because he looked so confused. Jack Reese trying to talk to him in Spanish. He almost looked cross-eyed. He wasn't even looking at Jack Reese. He was looking over at a rope. He probably thought the rope was talking. And then he sent him back out there, man. And the dude was in there punch drunk as I don't know what. And lucky Jack Reese got in there to save him. But it was just quick work, man. I don't know what kind of preparation Luna went. Ain't that his name, Luna? I don't know what kind of preparation he went into for this fight, or if he lost it the moment he heard how much that crowd was really into it. And that guy had a lot of achievements. I heard him announcing all them national titles and all that stuff.
You know what was funny? You know what was funny though, when you said that it was like Jack Reese was talking to him in Spanish. I think Mark Castro hit him so hard, he no longer understood Spanish. He could only understand English. So when Reese started speaking to him in Spanish, he was just looking at him like, what? Okay, yeah, okay. And he no longer understood Spanish because Castro knocked the Spanish out of him. It was stupid, man. The way he was getting hit. Reggie, I've seen first round stoppages where a guy get caught cold and then he go out, or a guy get caught cold, he get hurt, and the guy flurry on him and the ref jump in and stop it. But I never seen a guy get caught cold, keep getting caught cold, get dropped, take a count, get up, try to finish, and still keep getting caught cold till the ref steps in and stops it. I've never seen that before. And I watched a lot of damn boxing. But to see that happen like that, for that to unfold, I think when he first got hit, he was on another planet somewhere. Because that's the only explanation. That he was just kind of fighting off of instinct or something. Because the guy couldn't miss, Reggie. If you look at Castro's punch stats for that round, if he threw 40 punches, he landed like 36. I'm just saying, that's how accurate he was. And it was a shame. And I'm not making fun of Luna, but I'm trying to entertain our listening audience with the fact that this is how silly it was. It was an utter mismatch, man. And Luna would be lucky for them to call him for any kind of fight cards in the future, man. That was really a ridiculous performance for someone who was supposed to have some type of, as you said, decorated past.
Yeah, Luna went in there and played the side of a barn. That's the style he went in there with. Just be the side of the barn, let him punch you with everything.
Wow. So yeah, man, but that was it right there. There were a couple of other fights on the undercard, and I know you didn't see those, but there was a opening bout where Alejandro Frias took on Brock Jarvis. Now, Jarvis is an Australian who's trained by Jeff Fennick, okay? And these guys were lightweights. And Frias was a Mexican fighter who was brought in as the opponent. And in the first round, the Australian came out very aggressive. I guess he tries to fight like Jeff Fenech. That's his trainer, and everything. And he said he grew up admiring Jeff Fenech. And he came out, Brock Jarvis came out and really attacked Freitas. And Freitas was kind of smaller guy, and Brock was a muscular guy, even though they were lightweights. And he was aggressive, had him up against the ropes and everything. But in the second round, Reggie, and that's what I text you about, in the second round, Jarvis came out again, the Australian. He came out again with the same, game plan of attacking Freitas, and he had him up against the ropes, and he was trying to open up on him, and Freitas was trying to fight back, and then Freitas hit him, Reggie, with a left hook and a right hand. I think it was an uppercut. Then he hit him with another left, and there was Brock Jarvis wobbling like a flag in the wind, man. And but he wouldn't go down. And so Freitas attacked him. And for almost 2 minutes of a round, the dude was wobbling and fell into the ropes and everything. But the referee never called it a knockdown when he went into the ropes. So Freitas was beating on him, but the dude wouldn't go down. But he was hurt. He was very damaged. And the ref didn't give him a count or nothing. So the bell rings to end the round, and he goes back to his corner on wobbly legs and everything. The next round, they come out, and Freitas was trying to get himself back together because he had blew a lot of his energy by trying to punch the guy out of there because he opened up on him. And he was very effective. They could have called a knockdown, but they didn't. Tell me, Reggie, the fight went on 2 more rounds, and in the 5th round, when Brock had him up against the ropes and he wobbled a little bit, the ref jumped in and stopped the fight. I'm like, wait a minute. You gonna stop the fight when this guy just wobbled a little bit? You have to understand, he came in as the opponent. So it was like when he hurt the prospect, he had him in really bad shape. The fight could have even possibly been stopped. But they didn't think about giving him a count, Reggie. Because he didn't go down, he lucky he didn't die. But it's like as soon as Freitas wobbled in the interim, that's when they jump in and stop the fight. So that's when I text you. I was like, man, are you watching this? It's like, this is crazy, man. So as I said earlier in this show, the refs and the judges, they were still lurking around the card, doing what they do. And the fight got stopped. Freitas went to his corner, and he kind of slunched down in his corner. He was like having the guys pour water on him and stuff. He was tired, but he wasn't battered. It was a difference because he really blew himself out trying to knock the guy out when he hurt him. And if you go back and watch it, I'm telling you, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. He had that dude hurt. And at one point, Brock went into the ropes and he was on him. And Brock kind of went through the rope apron. And the ref never jumped in to stop it and give him a count. He kept doing it until he reached out and grabbed the guy and pulled himself back through the ropes. And, they kept fighting. So I'm like, why is the ref stopping it now? The dude was tired. It was like, but you give him a chance, he might come back with a second win or whatever. But they stopped the fight, man. It was ridiculous. I don't know. But you have to see it for yourself. And anybody out there, I think C99 is out there. He said he clocked him quick. Oh, that was a comment about the earlier fight. No, but it's like, that's just, I thought it was very unfair, man, because the kid clocked the dude and had him hurt, and it was getting ready to be the upset of the night. But the ref jumps in and stops it. He wasn't even about to go down. He just got hurt, got stunned, and he was against the ropes, and he was trying to, survive or whatever. But the ref jumps in and stops it. So that was, the first fight of the night on the card. So, but yeah, that's pretty much what I have, Reggie. But I would say just go back and watch that for yourself, so you'll have a feel for exactly what's being said here.
Oh yeah, for sure. No, I'll go back and check it. What was the crowd reaction? Did they react to it?
It was kind of like the crowd was just cheering the action, because when Frejas hurt the dude, quite naturally, Frejas being the Mexican guy and they in Fresno and everything, they were celebrating. They were like, yeah, it's like he was coming on, he was the opponent, but he had a chance. It just, I don't know, man. It just, but he'll be brought back because he gave an action fight, and they'll bring him back for something else in the future. But that kid Brock, he gonna have some problems, just like Jeff Fennick had problems, because they fight that same style, no jabs, just try to wade in on people and bully them around and stuff like that. And in boxing, you know what happens to the bullies when they get up to those levels where somebody could do something back to them. It's a foregone conclusion. So that's what I'll say about that. But yeah, it was. Yeah, I'll tell you, man. Sometimes when you don't tune in, to these matches, you miss some things. But when you're watching all of this stuff, it really gives you some gratification that you know what you're looking at, and you can see exactly how things are playing out, But we saw a little bit of everything on that card tonight out of Fresno, man. A little bit of everything. Upsets. We saw, guys fighting, above their level or on the level that people didn't know them to be on, and all of that. So that's great, That's great.
But yeah, no, that's all I had, OG.
Yeah, it's pretty much all I got too, because it don't take all night long to go through this, but it was in another entertaining night of boxing. We had 2 nights in a row. Can you believe that? It's like that's pretty good. And like I said earlier, next weekend we got Shakur Stevenson and Jamel Herring to see what they got to offer, man. I'm looking forward to that one.
And I don't think it's gonna go how most people think, man. I don't think Shakur may win that fight, OG. Hey, I think I'm siding with Herring in that one.
Listen, there's something to be said about veterans, okay? There's always one good fight left in a veteran fighter, and this is the type of fight where Herring could get so much accolade for defeating a young upstart. And listen, Reggie, that Frampton fight, he did to Frampton what nobody thought he was going to do to Frampton. That was, pretty good stuff there. And the stuff that kind of gives you a jolt, a shot in the arm for your career and everything. So I hope Shakur doesn't come in overconfident and put himself in a position for this wily veteran to do something to him. And let's just say, man, Herring got that sneaky left uppercut, bro. He has hit guys with that and caused havoc. He really has. So it's a good fight, It's a little early yet and still who I may pick for my final pick, but it's a good fight. I'm glad it's taking place. I'm glad it means something. Shakur is trying to win a world title from a veteran titleist, and Herring is trying to cement himself in the sport of boxing to legitimize himself as a champion. So a victory over Shakur, you know what that does for him, man. Even more so than Shakur's victory over him. But his victory over Shakur means so much more, Reggie. So much more.
Yeah, most definite. And I think that's why he might rise to the occasion. Just from what I kind of picturing in my head, I just think that I think that Herring's going to be able to defend that title. I think he's going to perform better than what people expect in this fight. And Shakur may be in for a rude awakening. I know he's overconfident. He's still a young fighter, but I think he's just going to come up short in this one.
He very well may. And if it does, you know, it'll be exciting for the sport. Sometimes you have those matches like that. And I wouldn't be mad if he lost, because Shakur is at a stage where he can come back. You know, it's like, you know, he got a little, you know, career ahead of him. But I'll tell you, if Jamel loses the fight, it's probably, you know, nobody's going to want to like give him shots and stuff because he's too dangerous for that. And then there's other guys that you can fight that don't have to take the risk. So yeah, there's some good stuff surrounding this fight as far as narratives that could really play into what we end up seeing. So I look forward to it. But hey, man, let everybody know where they can find you, and give us your final thoughts on tonight's boxing matches.
Oh yeah, man, we cooked up on it, man, cleaned it up. That, man, this is a great for the sport, a great upset, great way to prove all doubters wrong, as any underdog fighter should, going into a fight against somebody who has more polarizing name, more well-known, that you make your mark in the sport. This is where you want to be. Stepping in that ring should always give you all, no matter how much people look down upon you on the cards. And this dude, Sandor, came in and he did that. And he made the casinos look bad. And he made me look mad because I ain't put a bet in on him. But that's all I got, folks. We'll catch you on the next one. Catch me at Box Conversations with Reggie Owens. And on the backup, Box Conversations with Reggie Owens, too. But that's all I got, folks. Peace.
Yes, sir. And thank you for your great call on the bout this evening. And thanks to everybody that came from Reggie's chat for his live stream calling the fight. And for those who just stepped in because they wanted to show some support, and those who wanted to tune in out of curiosity of what we had to say about it. We thank everybody that was a part of this, and the super chat that came in. Thank you for that. We really appreciate the support, and we try to bring it to you, you know, the best way we can. So this has been another post-fight show. This was the Garcia versus Martin from the Dazn broadcast this evening. Want to say salute to the LDBC and everybody that's out there that wants to subscribe. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, because we got some more good stuff coming up for you, man. But we're going to get on out of here. Everybody enjoy the rest of your weekend. Peace to everybody. And please, everybody, remain safe out there.